What is going on, guys? Welcome back to my channel, and this is my live review for the latest episode of The Mandalorian, Episode 6, The Prisoner. Now, I'm going to discuss in detail the things that I really liked from this episode and how this episode really improved upon kind of what Episode 5 really felt was to me a very disappointing installment of the series. This episode really kind of rejuvenated that hope once again that the first three episodes had really laid out for this show. Before I go into detail, I want to ask you guys, make sure if you are not subscribed to this channel and you're watching my video for the first time, or this is the first video that you're ever checking out on my channel, make sure you guys go ahead, give me a like, hit that thumbs up button. That means a lot, shows your support. And not only that, but also subscribe to my channel for more content just like this. I do Mandalorian episode reviews every single week when the new episodes drop. I will have one out probably on Wednesday of this upcoming week because that's when the next episode 7 drops. So yeah, I just kind of want to remind everyone I'm very close to 150 subscribers, so I'm trying to get there before the year ends, and hopefully we can just continue moving forward and onward. So anyway, let's get into this review of episode 6 of The Mandalorian. Now, I'm not going to go into depths about spoilers. My wife has not watched this episode. She's 2 episodes behind, guys. She's been very busy with finals and work and everything. So she has not watched the last 2 episodes of The Mandalorian. So I'm not going to try to get heavy into the spoilers of this episode, but I'm really going to talk about kind of the basis of why I really like this episode and kind of what I thought initially. Also, by the way, I will be taking sips of drinkage throughout because I'm kind of getting sick. I don't know if you guys can hear it in my voice. I kind of have a cold. So I apologize now for drinking on camera. I hate doing it, but I'm going to have to. I have no choice. So anyway, let's talk about The Mandalorian episode 6. Now, I'll say this. When this episode first started, the first 10 minutes of this episode, I couldn't get into the episode. I felt like a lot of what happened last week and how I was disappointed by that episode, by the certain qualities of that episode, I felt were kind of happening again here in the first 10 minutes of this episode. You mix that in with the fact that we got Bill Burr. That was really weird to me. I could not look at Bill Burr other than being Bill Burr. And it was something that threw me off. Now, I've watched the episode twice. I watched it with a group of people yesterday. We had this big kind of movie party, and I watched the episode with them. And one of the guys that was in the room with me, he also had the same exact problem where he just could not look past Bill Burr being in something Star Wars. Knowing the history of Bill Burr, knowing a lot of the basis of his comedy, it's very interesting to see someone like him being cast in a Star Wars show, something that is owned and licensed by Disney. But anyway, let's get past that point. Yeah, Bill Burr was just really weird to see in this show, especially in this episode. But as the episode played out, and we got deeper and deeper, and they start introducing new lore into the Mandalorian's character, into the story. They kind of introduced some new techniques in the Star Wars universe that are very unique. It felt horror-ish at times, and it felt very thriller-esque. The deeper and deeper this episode got, the more and more I loved it. I think this is, to me right now, this might be my second favorite episode of The Mandalorian. And again, the first 10 minutes, I did not really like. There was just a weird pacing issue that I had with it. I couldn't really get involved. Like, it was hard for me to involve myself with these kind of characters that they're introducing, and the fact that he's going on a mission with these guys to get, obviously to break out a prisoner of one of their own. They're like kind of these ravagers. It was very bizarre for me. But looking past that, as the episode got deeper and deeper and we got more details of The Mandalorian. We got more inside the lore. I really started loving this episode. Now, I'm going to talk about the reasons why I really love this episode and the reasons why it kind of put me off the first 10 minutes. I talked a little bit about the pacing. That was an issue for me in the first 10 minutes. I felt like it had a very kind of lulling pace where things kind of just happened to be slow, and there was a lot of exposition dump. And it was really hard as well because these Ravage characters that you meet, this team that he's kind of assembled himself with, you don't care about any of them. There's not one standout other than Bill Burr, just because it's Bill Burr. But I could not get into, this dynamic that this group had. It felt very Suicide Squad-esque. And I wasn't the biggest fan of the Suicide Squad movie, so it just felt very odd to me that these people would all kind of team up. And it just kind of threw me out a little bit. But it got to a point where, because they were introducing some new levels that I've never seen before, or the introduction of some new genre mixes inside the Star Wars universe, it got to be really fun, especially with these characters that they introduced. Another problem that I had was I thought the droid was a bit much at times. The droid Zero, it was just something that, like, at first it wasn't bad, but over time I just kind of felt like he was a little too hammy, and he knew a little bit too much to the point where it kind of got annoying. And I just wanted to focus more on the Mandalorian and these other characters, kind of these human characters, even though they're not human. To me, there was just something else there. As the story kept progressing in this episode, I felt like their arcs kept progressing, except for the droid's arc. I just really felt like he was never truly, flushed out and fully realized, to the point where he just kind of became annoying to me. And just, I love droids in Star Wars, but I like my droids to have a sense of capability and a sense of small sample size, I guess. Does that make sense? I don't want it to feel like it's burdening the experience. I don't want it to feel like it's a nuisance to have a character on screen. And I just kind of felt like the droid was just one of those characters that I just could not get behind. I want IG-11. Give me friggin' IG-11 again. But that's it for all the things I didn't like. Let me talk about the things I loved in this episode, because, again, this might be my second favorite episode behind episode 3 for this show. I really dug it. The first thing, the genre mixes, horror and thriller. Oh my gosh. It felt like I was watching Alien. And it really felt like Rick Famuyiwa, the guy who directed this episode, really kind of put the ball in his court and decided to go this different route, where he was going to try to explore more types of genre mixing inside of the Star Wars universe. And when everything feels so secluded and very kind of tight, that's when, to me, this concept of this thriller horror really got interesting fast, because that's when everything I felt like was just kind of getting at a faster pace, and everything was kind of catching up to where the first 10 minutes just kind of dragged a little bit. And so I really love the fact that they kind of mix genres, especially with the Mandalorian's character, him sneaking up on certain characters, the mixture of the red lights kind of going on and off simultaneously. You got, basically this game of cat and mouse between the Mandalorian and all of these different team members, where he's, picking them off one by one. It had that slasher vibe. It had that sci-fi vibe. It had that thriller vibe. And I was on the edge of my seat. I didn't know what was going to happen next, and I absolutely loved it. And not only that, but this episode showed how smart the Mandalorian is. Because in the past few episodes, he's gotten beat up a lot, but we've never really gotten to see how he can outwit people and outwit other people in the galaxy. And he does that to a T in this episode. The fact that he's able to break free from kind of being imprisoned for a little bit in this episode. The fact that he was able to kind of understand that he couldn't trust any of these people, and so he was second guessing all of their decision making. The fact that he decided to put the tracker with the guy that had hired him onto the team in the first place and had the rebels go to that base. What amazing mental qualities that this character has. And this is the first time that, like, yeah, he's smart, we've seen it, but this is the first time where I'm like, dang, the Mandalorian is a guy not to be messed with. And not only is he a dominating force physically, but he also can play that mental game extremely well. And it just shows more layers on this character, because it shows that he is shielded, that there have been things in his past that have kind of haunted him to the point where he's not going to make the same mistakes that he did before. And I really found that to be so evident in this episode, more so than we've had in any of the other episodes prior. So my hat off to, again, even though we found out Pedro Pascal isn't the only one behind, the armor, which, I mean, I figured, but to him and to John Wayne's son, my hat goes off to them, because the way that they're able to add more layers and more emotional depth to this character who we never get to see his face, that is just absolutely incredible, and it's an achievement in itself. Another thing I really enjoyed about this episode to me felt very necessary to the story. Now, one of the big issues I've had, but it's been understandable. Like, I understand why they're going this route with the story, but it's still an issue for me, is that we can never kind of feel comfortable, or we can never feel the sense of relaxation. We're always on the run. We're always on the go. We can never get comfortable with certain characters. But I've never complained about it as much, because it's understandable. I mean, he's on the run basically because he knows that if he settles down, there's a really good chance that bounty hunters are going to come and kill the child that he is protecting, which is Baby Yoda. So this episode, though, this is the first episode where I really felt like it was necessary for him to escape. It was necessary for him to do the things he needed to do. I never really felt like it was out of context with where everything else has been leading up to this point, because most of the time with the story and with these episodes, we've seen Mando kind of protecting this child and going from place to place, wandering to try to find work, to try to find this, to try to find that. This episode, to me, there's just something about it. It felt more natural, and it made more sense to me why he would kind of go back to an old friend per se and try to, get work with him, knowing that he could get paid for completing a job, even though it's, kind of a scoundrel type of job. But I really like the fact that this episode really felt organic. It felt natural, and it felt like we were never truly on the run, even though we still are. It was good because it just kind of felt like we could settle down a bit. There was that tension that played in towards, obviously, the latter half of the episode, but everything leading up to it, it just kind of felt like we could just relax a bit, that we didn't have to necessarily kind of travel from here to here to here to here and have to worry about every single situation that Baby Yoda finds himself in, because we care just as much as Mando does for Baby Yoda than anybody else. And I'll say this, I don't think Disney's ever going to hurt Baby Yoda in any way, because, oh my gosh, would there be a huge uprising against Star Wars, against Lucasfilm and Disney, and they don't want that on their conscience right now. But I just really like the fact that this episode felt organic, and it felt natural, and it felt like it actually fit in with the story and with this timeline that we are getting. So yeah, I really love this episode, guys. It was directed extremely well. I think Dave Filoni has gravitas. He has something. He has potential, but he needs to sink his teeth in something maybe outside of Star Wars as well. That's not so in the galaxy. And I love Dave Filoni, and I know that there's a lot of people out there who do love Dave Filoni even more than I do. But getting a director like Rick Famuyiwa, who has more of a resume and has more of a background doing live action material outside of the Star Wars universe, brings this kind of sense that there can be a mixture of genres that feels so smooth and natural to the story and not kind of out of place and just kind of trashy. And I'm not saying Dave Filoni's a terrible director. That's not what I'm saying. But there's a way to direct your actors. There is a way to direct scenes. There's a way to direct shots. And I feel like Rick Famuyiwa just absolutely is at this level where Dave Filoni is kind of just down here because Dave Filoni just does not have the experience. So I love the fact that we got to see not only Famuyiwa, but also Dave Filoni being the Rebel pilots. That was freaking awesome. That's really cool. Very unique. And I noticed Dave Filoni right away, and so I knew exactly what they were going for. But it's really nice to kind of see that in this episode, just because I like when you do that. I like when you kind of take the directors behind the camera and put them in front of the camera playing, small cameos in their own things, as long as they're not M. Night Shyamalan in all of his films, because M. Night Shyamalan can't really act that well. But yeah, I really enjoyed this episode, guys. I want to go more in depth, but I'm just kind of afraid because my wife has not seen the episode, so I can't really get into the meat of everything I want to get into. But I'll just say this. This episode has rejuvenated my faith. And I'm not saying that my faith was diminished from the last episode, but I did feel disappointed by the last episode to where I wasn't as excited about this episode as I have been in the past. But I got to say, again, if last week's episode was the most disappointing episode that we get in this season of The Mandalorian, hey, I can live with that. It's still a good episode, even though everyone attacked me for having an opinion, which I don't want to get into again, but just go back and check out that hour-and-a-half long video of the controversy that happened last week with my review of last week's episode, because I said it was disappointing. Some social media, Star Wars kind of social media warrior group kind of started attacking me for no reason at all. But look, I think some of the characters that they introduced in this episode, I'm not 100% down with. I don't like all of them. It's weird to me that Bill Burr is even in the Star Wars universe. I don't know. That was kind of weird. But it was a fun episode. I really enjoyed it. It felt Western. It felt thriller. It felt horror. I mean, it was everything that I like about film and about entertainment kind of mixed together and blended in perfectly, blended in naturally. And that's the thing, is when you have a director like Famuyiwa, he has the tools to do that. Whereas like Dave Filoni, I don't necessarily know if taking that leap forward, trying to kind of blend in a mixture of genres, would actually turn out as good as this episode did. So yeah, I love the stuff on the Rebel prison ship. I thought that was freaking cool. It's awesome to see. We've seen the Imperial side, kind of the remnants of the Imperial side in this show, and I knew that we were going to see some Rebel, or I guess New Republic side of things eventually leading into this show. I didn't know when, but I knew that we would see some familiar kind of costuming and familiar kind of ships and designs and things like that we've seen in the past that would kind of feel familiar with what we know from the Star Wars universe. So there's some really nice stuff. I thought some of the jokes were actually kind of good in this episode. Not all of them landed, but the joke about the Gungan, how they were asking Mando to take off his helmet, and he didn't respond at all, and they said, "Oh, what are you, a Gungan under your helmet?" Which was kind of funny, but I would hate to see that. Let's just completely burn that idea and send it straight to hell where it belongs, because that would just be an absolute mistake if they did that. And oh my gosh, would I hate it. But he's not a Gungan. Gungans speak like this. Like they speak a different way. And so Misa no think it's a Gungan. But I don't know, and that's the mystery and the mystique about the Mandalorian is we still don't know what type of race he is, and we'll see. I mean, are we ever going to see his face? I think we will. I think the season finale is when we're going to finally get to see what's under that mask, but who knows? I have no idea. And this was the longest episode yet, and it felt quicker than all the other episodes because I just enjoyed it so much. It's a fun episode. I loved it. Really looking forward to what they do next. And dude, the relationship that Mando has with Baby Yoda is freaking palpable. It feels so real, and you can connect with it on such a level that is very similar to how Mando's experiencing it, because he protects this child. He protects Baby Yoda, which is all we want to do, right? We don't want to see Baby Yoda getting harmed. And so I love the fact that he kind of, takes off the top piece of the lever, the ball, and gives it to Baby Yoda. That's such a nice and really earned moment in the episode. And Baby Yoda trying to use the Force on the droid on Zero was a really cool sequence and scene. And I thought it was really funny how he looked at his hand after Zero got shot by Mando, and he's kind of confused. Awesome stuff. There's so much good stuff to talk about from this episode of The Mandalorian, and it didn't disappoint me, guys. So all my haters out there from that Star Wars fan page, you know exactly who you are. I'm going to say I love this episode, and you might misconstrue that and say, oh, I hate this episode, and I hate women or something. I don't know. It's silly, guys. I'm done talking about that, but yeah, that's neither here nor there. But yeah, I love this episode. I want to know your guys' thoughts on this episode of The Mandalorian. Did you like it? Did you not like it? Do you agree with me that it's one of the best of the season? Let me know in the comments section, or if you guys are watching this live, let me know in the live chat. I'm going to get to your guys' questions and comments in just a second. Again, want to remind you guys, if you have not subscribed, hit that friggin' subscribe button down below, and also hit that notification bell to know every single time that I go live and do a live stream for my Mandalorian reviews. And you can also find all my other content as soon as it gets posted. So, yeah, let's get to your guys' comments. Let me get a sip real quick, a drink. Okay. True Horror Fanatic reviews. Very good episode. Bill Burr was a definite highlight. Yeah, again, it was very interesting. I did not expect to see Bill Burr, and it was so noticeable. I mean, I watched this episode twice. The first time I watched it and I saw Bill Burr, I was like, that's freaking Bill Burr. And I could not get him out of my head. Every time he was on screen, I was just like, okay, Bill Burr, what do you got to say now? So I could never really take him seriously, and that's my fault, just because I know who Bill Burr is, and I've listened to his stand-up, and I'm a fan of his stand-up comedy. Very interesting choice to bring him onto the show. I don't know. It's very, very odd. To me, I think his acting it's not bad. It's better than the guy that we saw last week who played that the rookie bounty hunter trying to get into the guild. His acting was horrible. But yeah, Bill Burr, you could tell that he's gotten, he's done some things before in the acting department. This one was a little bit more serious, but it was kind of weird. And again, I watched this yesterday I watched it twice, and I watched it last night with a group of people, and one of the guys who actually had never seen an episode of The Mandalorian, we had to catch him up on. We just kind of talked to him about it and told him what the show's about. He had the exact same problem that I did, where he could not stand the fact that it was Bill Burr in an episode of The Mandalorian. And so every time Bill Burr kept going, was on the screen, he kept kind of giggling and laughing. And I kind of felt for him, because that was exactly the way I felt the first time I watched. The second time, it was still very apparent, but it wasn't as much apparent as it was the first time. I don't know. I think I just got to keep watching that episode over and over again, and I think eventually I'll just be okay with it. But yeah, it's just very odd that Bill Burr would be in an episode of Star Wars. I just never thought that they'd go that route. But hey, it it was interesting. I'm happy that they kind of they keep everyone on their toes. Like, you don't think we're going to do this? Well, we're going to do it. Bill Burr would not have been my first choice, but I'm happy that he was in it. I mean, it's cool, right? I'm sure he was stoked. Burr was not as insane as I thought he was going to be, but he had his funny moments. The Jar Jar reference was cute. Yeah, that was a funny moment. And I really thought to myself, though, that after that moment happened, I was like, that was a really funny line of dialogue, and it was delivered perfectly by Bill Burr. But yeah, I don't want to see that. I don't want to see him being a Gungan. That would just absolutely wreck me. That would literally take every like love that I have, every every like love particle that I have. I don't even know why I said particle. All the love that I have for the Mandalorian, and literally just absolutely drop, throw it on the floor and stomp on it. It would destroy me if that was true. It's not going to be true, but oh gosh, if it was, oh man, I don't even want to imagine it, guys. It would ruin probably my experience of the show. Like, I say this, I'm a die-hard Star Wars fan. This is what I love. This is the thing that got me into my love for movies and entertainment is Star Wars. I mean, Star Wars, the original trilogy, that's like the first movies I can remember watching when I was a kid. Because I'm pretty sure when I was a kid, like, I watched a bunch of other movies, but I don't remember them. Like, I don't remember those experiences I had with those movies. When I watched the original trilogy, episodes 4, 5, and 6, that to me, I remember those experiences of watching those films for the first time and absolutely falling in love with Star Wars and everything about it. And I say this, and I've told my wife this, I've told other people this, if they came out with a movie tomorrow, they came out with a new film, a new standalone film called, oh gosh, I don't even want to say it. It makes me want to like throw up. Jar Jar Binks, a Star Wars story. I'd be there night one, first showing, day one, and I'd probably go see it like 3 or 4 times in the theaters. It would be horrible, but I'd watch it. And it's just because I'm a Star Wars fan, guys. Solo was a movie I was not excited for, really. I mean, as much as the other films. And, I still was there opening night, first showing. Episode 9, I'm pumped for. I'm really excited for. Not as excited as I am, for when The Mandalorian was coming out. But I'm going to be there night one. I got my ticket Thursday night, 6 p.m., first showing. And I'm pumped. I'm really excited. I'm going to go see it probably 3 or 4 times next weekend alone. I'm going to go see this movie probably like 7, 8 times in theaters. I'm not going to lie. But I'm planning on seeing it Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. So, yeah, I'm a Star Wars, apologist. I'm a diehard Star Wars fan. It doesn't mean, again, I don't want to, I'm not going to get into the whole drama last week. Just go and watch that video. And that'll explain my thoughts of what fandom is. It's not thinking everything is friggin' perfect. Newsflash, it's not. But yeah, if he was a Gungan, oh man, that would just ruin everything for me. Would I keep watching the show? Of course I would. But it would be crushing. It would really be crushing, and it would change my viewpoint on the show drastically. I honestly thought Mando killed everybody, but the ending made it possible for these characters to come back. Hellboy was a nice touch. Liked his fight with Mando. Yeah, isn't it funny? I mean, the resemblance between that character and Hellboy was interesting. I'm trying to think of what that character's name. I know the one was like Shaney or something. Shani, which is played by Natalia Tena, who's been in like Game of Thrones. She was Nymphadora Tonks in Harry Potter. Oh man, I can't remember what that character's name was. I'm gonna look it up just because I remember what it. I thought I remembered what it was. Yeah, characters. Okay, let's see if I can find this here, guys. Sorry, I hate doing this on camera. No. Oh gosh, I don't remember what the name of the character is off the top of my head right now, and I'm trying to look it up, but it's literally going to every single character. I don't want that. So anyway, if you guys know it, let me know down below. I'm gonna look it up after this. I remember them saying the name of the character a couple times. It's like a very short name. Yeah, he resembles Hellboy quite a bit, which was interesting to me. But I've seen his race before. I've seen his race in I think it was either Clone Wars, I believe that I saw his race specifically, and I know it's been talked about before. So, yeah, very, very interesting. It was a cool fight. I really liked it. I thought it was, you know what it reminded me of? There was a moment where that character picks up Mando and kind of drags him across the control boards. And it reminded me of like a good old Western bar fight where like you have, you know, the two characters fighting and the one character picks the other one up and drags him across the bar. And it's as he's kind of hitting all the beers and the, you know, the mugs and stuff are kind of falling to the ground. That's what it reminded me of. And so I thought that was a really nice kind of Western touch, which that's what I love about this show. It feels so much like a Western. And because it's a Western, and I love the fact that we're getting stuff like this that feels so different, and they have those homages to classic Westerns and classic kind of samurai films. I've seen someone kind of say that this is more of a samurai show, which, yeah, I mean, kind of. Star Wars has kind of always been a samurai type of event or type of, you know, film genre throughout the franchise. I mean, the lightsaber battles alone, that is so like samurai, so old school kind of kung fu type of movie. And so there's always been that precedent in terms of Star Wars and in terms of kind of what we're expecting at this point and what we know Star Wars to be. But this felt different because it really felt like a classic Western bar fight. It was really, really cool. Go back and watch that scene again. It's very quick, probably like 2 seconds tops, but you know, that sequence in the scene, in the fight scene, is my favorite in the entire probably episode, because to me, that's what really kind of got me really engaged in the fight was after that. It was just really, really cool. I loved seeing that. It was something different. And again, it felt like a very classic and kind of trope Western bar fight that we see in a lot of different Westerns. So yeah, this episode reminded me of Guardians of the Galaxy and Suicide Squad. Mando made everybody look like rookies. LOL, love that about the episode. Ooh, that's a good point. I never even thought about Guardians of the Galaxy, and I agree with you, true horror fanatic. Yeah, it definitely did. It felt very Guardians of the Galaxy-esque. Like I said Suicide Squad, and that was the best way. Like, if I had to choose out of those two, I would probably lean more towards Suicide Squad because they're Ravagers. Like, they're not good people. They are scoundrels. And Mando is the hero of the story, but he's also not like – they're not going about trying to save the universe and trying to do good for everyone. They're kind of just looking after themselves, which – again, there's no problem with that, but I would look at it more as like from a Suicide Squad approach. I'd lean more towards that as opposed to Guardians of the Galaxy. But that's a great point. I do agree with you that it does feel that way at times. Numanoid, I have no idea what you're saying, man. I don't read that. I don't know what that is. How did you feel about the doors closing in on him at the end of the fight? I thought he got crushed. Yeah, that was cool. That was something I didn't talk about either. That was really, really cool. And it shows the layers of the character of the Mandalorian, because guess what? We know that that's a move that he does often. He did it in the first episode. He did it very similar, but he still closed the door down on someone. That person lost his legs, but yeah, he has a very similar approach, and it shows that he's been haunted and traumatized by past events that have really changed kind of his scope and kind of made him do certain things that he feels comfortable with doing, or things that kind of give him a surety. And that must be one of those things, closing the doors on his opponents, which I love. I think it's friggin' awesome. So it's really cool to see that. Star Wars was originally based on an old Japanese movie called The Three Villains of the Hidden Fortress. I have heard that Star Wars was influenced by, I mean, it's definitely influenced by Shakespeare. That's George Lucas. Like, there's an entire book that was dedicated like towards Star Wars, Shakespeare, like romanticism. And George Lucas has talked about that in the past. And I did know, Numanoid, that what you're saying is true, that there was some Japanese samurai movie, right? Is that what you're talking about? Because I have known that. There was even a Kurosawa film that Star Wars was heavily based on. I've never seen a Kurosawa movie. I love film. I'm trying to get more into foreign films. My buddy Nate, who has a YouTube channel, he loves foreign films, and he really is trying to push me more towards foreign films. I'm trying to get more into them, but I can't remember what the Kurosawa movie was called, but it might have been the last. Was it? What's that movie called? It's on the Criterion. It's Seven Samurai. I think that's the one. I think that I'm thinking about. But yeah, man, I like that because, and that's the thing. Numanoid is Star Wars was that originally, like that's what it was based on. The more and more Star Wars has kind of grown, and over the years, Star Wars has kind of become a bunch of different things. And I mean, it was always sci-fi, but it definitely has become more sci-fi. It's definitely become more about kind of. It's weird. I don't want to kind of get into this because this isn't what this you know. Sorry, guys. This isn't what this video was intended for. Maybe I'll do a video in the future talking about Star Wars and the inspirations that Star Wars had in its creation process with George Lucas. I need to definitely do some digging because I don't know all of the facets of the history, but I really want to learn more because I love this stuff, Numanoid. I freaking love it. Thank you for bringing that to my attention. So cool that you're bringing this stuff up because yeah, this stuff is very important, and maybe it's something that I could do in the future. I love history. That's one of my favorite like subjects that I learned in school. So maybe I can kind of implement something unique in terms of Star Wars because I have a lot of Star Wars content coming out, and I don't have time right now, but maybe down the line in the future because I would definitely need more time to talk about this subject. Or at least I've heard people say that on the internet. Yeah, you're right. I mean, you're right. You're 100% right. Yeah, I was disappointed that we don't get an answer to who that character was at the end of the last episode. See, True Horror Fanatic. See, I've seen other people say that. I'm not gonna lie. I expected them not to say anything or mention anything about that character. So I didn't do a prediction video, but that was my prediction going in. I knew, and I told people this at where I work, because we talk about the Mandalorian all the time. Like there's like probably 4 or 5 of us that are really into the Mandalorian, so like we all talk about it, kind of like water cooler talk, And they were telling me, like one guy specifically was telling me, he's like, hey, I feel like they're gonna explain to us like who that guy is, and I told him no. I don't see it happening. I don't even think the next episode they're going to go into it either. I think it's going to be something that is going to be a cliffhanger at the end of this at the end of this season. I think it's going to be in the season finale that we find out who that person was. I'm hearing a lot of people saying it's Boba Fett, and there's been some really compelling arguments for that. And I didn't subscribe to that theory, but as I've gotten to hear more people's thoughts and theories, I'm kind of starting to lean more that way. It could be Boba Fett. It really could be, and we'll see. We'll see. That would be very interesting, and I want an explanation. Sorry, that sounded so weird. I want an explanation of how it's him, because he was in the Sarlacc pit. I mean, escaping the Sarlacc pit, that's pretty boss, but I mean, I don't know, man. I don't know. But true horror fanatic, I knew that they were not going to explain it in this episode. And I don't think they're going to do it again. Like I said, I don't think they're going to do it in the next episode. Maybe they will. Maybe I'll be surprised. But I really think that it's going to be something that they're going to kind of leave off the season with. And it's going to kind of get us more into season 2. And maybe it might be the antagonist for season 2. At this point, I think it's a little too late to have kind of one antagonist for season 1. That kind of gives Mando a lot of trouble, because everyone gives him trouble, really, especially in the guild. But we'll see. You might be right. I mean, who knows? Maybe they'll do something next week with next week's episode. But I really don't think that we're going to hear anything about this character, see any more things about this character until the end of the season. I feel like that's what they're going to do, and all good TV shows do that, because look, Disney knows, and not just Disney, Lucasfilm knows that they knew before season 1 dropped that they were going to make season 2. They knew how popular the show was going to be. That's why they didn't give us a lot in the trailers. That's why they didn't show us anything about Baby Yoda. They knew that word of mouth was going to be so strong about this friggin' show that they had nothing to fear and nothing to worry about, and that they were literally going to greenlight season 2, probably the time that they were writing season 1. And Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni, I would not put it past them if they have planned out 3 or 4 seasons when they wrote this show. I don't really subscribe to the theory that Jon Favreau went to Lucasfilm with just 1 season of ideas. I really think that he flushed this thing out into multiple seasons, probably maybe at the most 2, or at the very least 2. But I think that it would be naive for us to think that they only felt like they were going to do 1 season of this show. No. They knew that they were going to do multiple seasons. And so I really don't think that this character is going to have a heavy effect on season 1. This could be something that leads us into season 2, which I know would make a lot of people mad because we'd have to wait. But imagine if think of it like episode 7, okay? The Force Awakens. The entire movie, we think we're going to see Luke. Even the moment where the lightsaber is moving in the snow, and we think, oh man, that's Luke. Luke's going to get the lightsaber. Nope, it's Rey. Rey uses the Force, gets the lightsaber. You only see Luke for the last 30 seconds. I mean, it might be a little longer, it might be a little less. I don't know. I haven't timed it. But like the last moment of that movie, we get to see Luke for the first time in 30 years. Who's to say they won't do that again with Boba Fett? If it is Boba Fett. Because, oh my gosh, could you imagine, guys, how freaking epic that would be? That will get the internet ablazing and the internet storm. And I do feel very sorry and I feel bad for the UK, people who live in the UK, people who live around the world that don't have Disney Plus yet. Mandalorian is already one of the most pirated shows on, ever, but and I can't really fault them for that because there's so many spoilers about the show. But oh man, that would just blow up the internet. It would no longer be about Baby Yoda. Baby Yoda could take a backseat for just like a couple days. It would all be about freaking Boba Fett coming back. Imagine that. That would be the way to go. And we'll see. We'll see if I'm right. We'll see if I'm wrong. I'm probably wrong, but it's just something interesting to think about, guys. Anyway, I don't think Boba Fett made it out of the Sarlacc pit. He might have, but I doubt he made it out. Yeah, so we'll see, man. I don't know, man. I think that's the thing. Numenoid said, I believe Boba Fett made it out. I mean, it's crazy. I mean, we never thought the Emperor was coming back. I mean, if you were the type of person that thought the Emperor was coming back for episode 9, you're freaking crazy. Okay, there's some people that really had that theory, about Kylo. What if Kylo speaking to Vader and speaking to Vader? What if that's just the Emperor? And I was always like, you guys are so off base. Come on, it's not that. It's not going to be the Emperor. No, it was the Emperor. I mean, there's new footage that they just released, like a new teaser, a TV spot, and it's the best spot that they've released. And it's the Emperor saying, "I've been every single voice you've ever heard, Kylo." Um, Crazier things have happened. We never thought the Emperor was coming back, but guess what? He's coming back, and I don't know what his part is going to be in Episode 9. I don't know all of the reason why he's in it. He's coming back, but it's Star Wars, guys. I mean, crazier things have happened. I mean, but the Emperor and Boba Fett are two completely different characters where the Emperor's power is way up here and Boba Fett's power is kind of like, it's kind of right here. He's just a bounty hunter. But if the Emperor can live from being thrown down a shaft, who's to say Boba Fett can't live from the Sarlacc pit? I mean, I don't know. These are just things we really need to think about, guys. Disney said he did. Really? He did? I have never seen that. Disney says, I'm going to look that up real quick. Boba Fett survived. Okay. I mean, the first thing says Disney makes it official that Boba Fett survived the Sarlacc and Return of the Jedi. This is something I'm going to have to read up on. Thanks for bringing it to my attention, Numanoid. I'm going to have to look, and I'm going to look at the sources. It's very important to look at the sources because people can just kind of make up stuff online. They can make fabricated articles and fabricated details of things that aren't necessarily true. I'm going to look at the facts. I'm going to try to find the facts. I'm going to look at the articles, and I'll let you know if I believe that these sources are true. So we'll see. I'm not discrediting what you have said. I'm just going to kind of, I'm going to read into this, and I'm going to try to see if there's validity in these sources. But thanks for bringing that to my attention. Kind of makes you wonder why they introduced that character if they're just going to abandon the character till the end. Feels weird to me. Well, I mean, here's the thing, True Horror Fanatic. I mean, they've done that, though, in like a lot of shows and movies in the past. I mean, heck, let me try to think of one. I'm trying to think of like a specific show. Okay, what about The Walking Dead? I mean, Negan was something that, there we go. It's a great example. Throughout season 6 of The Walking Dead, I think it was season 6, I stopped watching after season 8, honestly. After season 6, or during season 6 of The Walking Dead, we always heard about the name Negan. Negan this, Negan that, I am Negan. And we always wondered, who is Negan? Even though I've read the comics, or not all of them, but I've read the Negan portion of the comics, I knew who Negan was. So I knew exactly the type of person that could be Negan. But for people who didn't read the comics, which is the majority of the people who watched the show, Negan was a name that we heard all the time. And it wasn't until the end of the season that we got our first glimpse at Negan. And then what do? He kills somebody and they leave us on a cliffhanger. So we sit there for, I don't know, what was it, like 6 months or 7 months or something, wondering, well, who died? And, you find out it's Glenn and Abraham. Spoiler alert for anybody who's never watched The Walking Dead, but, who cares, because that show will never end, even though it should. But that's the thing. I mean, True Horror Fanatic, I get what you're saying. I understand that, maybe it annoys you and frustrates you, but it's something that we've seen in shows and movies do throughout all of history. It's just, honestly, it's a great way to cause paranoia, and it's a great way to kind of make people even more hyped up for the next season or, the next set of episodes, whatever it may be. I mean, these things have happened before, and it's something that, it can be annoying for sure, but it is what it is. I mean, it's a great tactic to get more people invested and even more hyped up for season 2. Like I said, I don't know if they're going to do that. I don't know if it's Boba Fett essentially, but if they do it, it makes all the sense in the world. Honestly, it really does. Okay. I don't know, a hat. I'm gonna head out. All right, see you, Numanoid. Thanks for checking in on the video. Make sure you leave a like down below if you enjoyed the video. And I'll see you in probably my next video. Thank you for being an active subscriber to the channel. The Emperor's coming back just to die again, unless they go the dark route and have the dark side win. But I don't think Disney would allow the light to flat out lose. Yeah, we'll see, man. I don't disagree with you. I don't disagree with you at all. Man, I don't know. I'm really excited for episode 9. My expectations are very high. But that's with all Star Wars material. I have super high expectations. But I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what happens. I'm so excited because we get to watch this movie, and I literally get to watch it on Thursday. So I literally have like four and a half. Well, not 4.5. What's it, like 10:20? Like 4 hours and 20 minutes, or 4 days and 20 hours. I don't know what I'm thinking. 4 days and 20 hours to kind of think about this new movie. We'll see. We'll see what happens. My problem is like my expectations are super high, but I know, and they're not like this is going to be the best movie since Empire Strikes Back. No. Empire will never be touched. That is at a superior level that no other movie could ever top. And I'm not just talking about Star Wars. I'm talking about every movie in general. To me, it's the greatest film of all time from a cinematic standpoint. It's the best sequel of all time. It's such a good film. Not a good film. It's such a fantastic film that, I mean, to have expectations that any Star Wars movie is going to be even near it, or even because Empire is not even. I couldn't even raise my hand up high enough to where Empire is, but to even think that a movie is going to be like 5% of what Empire is, that's crazy. That's super high. You have way too high of expectations, and you're going to be, sadly, I hate to say it, but you are going to be let down time and time again. My expectations are high. They're very high because I love Star Wars. But I just don't want to think too much into it because my thing is that the less I theorize about episode 9, the better, because I've done that with episode 8, and I even, in my mission, when I served my mission in El Salvador for 2 years, somebody told me what happened in episode 7. Han Solo dies. I was really, really not happy about it. But honestly, I don't want to. Star Wars is something different to me. Whereas an MCU film, I theorize about a lot more than I do about Star Wars, because it's easier to be let down by a Marvel film than it is for me to be let down by a Star Wars film, because Star Wars means so much more to me. So we'll see. I'm going to go see the movie 3 times next weekend. So hopefully I like it. I mean, hopefully I enjoy the film. And don't worry, guys. There will be a lot of episode 9 content next week. I have 3 more reviews that I have to do, which I'm going to do episode 6, episode 7, and episode 8. I'll have all my reviews up back to back to back. So Monday, expect my Return of the Jedi review. On Tuesday, you can expect my Force Awakens review. And on Wednesday, you can expect my Last Jedi review leading up to Rise of Skywalker on Thursday. And that video will be out Thursday night. I'm going to come right back here. I'm going to shoot a regular kind of review like I do on a normal basis. I'm going to shoot my review, upload it really quick on Thursday night. It might be up at 11:30. I mean, it might even be up at midnight on Friday, but it will be up before I go to bed. And then Friday, I will do ranking the entire Star Wars franchise, live action, theatrically released Star Wars franchise. I ain't doing any of those Ewok movies. And then I'm going to be doing a lot more content. I'm going to have a spoiler. I'm probably going to have 2 spoiler reviews for episode 9, Rise of Skywalker, because this is my most anticipated film, not just this year, but probably in the last, probably my entire life. This is my most anticipated film for my entire life. Like there's not one film that I'm more excited about than this one. And yeah, Force Awakens was exciting for me because it was, reintroducing Star Wars, but there's something about ending a saga that just drives home that just means so much more. So anyway, yeah. John Cromar, how's it going, man? When will I get to be a guest star in one of your videos? I mean, hey, whenever you want. Whenever you want to talk about movies or TV, you let me know, man. I would love to have you on. I know that we talk a lot about sports per se, but I don't have a sports channel. For those of you who don't know, I'm a Yankee fan, and this week has been great because we signed Garrett Cole, the best pitcher in baseball. So I'm on cloud nine. It's been a great week, honestly. It sucks that I'm kind of sick, but or I kind of have like a cold or whatever. But it's been great because the Yankees got Garrett Cole this week, a new episode of The Mandalorian. Next week I get to see Rise of Skywalker. So I'm living the dream right now, guys. I can't be any happier. And not only that, but we're getting closer and closer to the Oscars. So I've been watching a bunch of Oscar films. Did not go out and see Richard Jewell today. I was going to, but I watched Black Christmas, and that was the last movie I watched today. And after that, I was like, I don't want to watch another movie today. I was just so disgusted by that film. I'm going to have a review for that movie up tomorrow, but oh man, that movie is just absolute garbage. It's the second worst film I've seen all year. I wouldn't even call it a film. It's really a social justice cliche or social justice speech with like 10 minutes of movie. Yeah, I don't want to get into too much right now, but don't watch that movie, guys. It is horrible. Just a horrible experience. I've not been angrier walking out of a film all year. Like I was so mad and furious when I walked out of the theater just because of the crap that was on display in that film. But you guys can watch my review for that because I'm gonna be blunt. I'm gonna be honest how I feel about that movie. I'm not the demographic. I realize it. I'm not a 13-year-old girl who needs to feel empowered. I understand that. I don't have any problem with, the female empowerment in movies and in television. I don't feel like I'm not scared or like I don't feel inferior to the fact that women are going to have equality. I think it's great. I think women should have equality, and I think that women should be represented for sure. And I'm okay with female empowerment. I'm all for it. But when your whole movie is that and you're just beating down your audience with a freaking baseball bat, driving that home throughout the entire film, it gives you a headache. You get so sick of it, and it really does a disservice to the female empowerment movement. It does such a disservice, and yeah, I don't know. Anyway, I don't want to talk about Black Christmas. We're all about Star Wars here, but John, yeah, man, whenever you want. At least you had Negan mentioned more than once while the show just introduces someone and then just presses onward, ignoring the character. Maybe they'll give the character more purpose. I can't disagree with you there. I mean, you're right. The only counter argument I'd say to that, though, is that with The Walking Dead, there are more episodes in a season. And it's a show at that point in time when Negan was introduced. I mean, we'd already had, 5 seasons of The Walking Dead. So, I mean, I can't argue your point, but I get what you're saying. I do get what you're saying. Maybe they should have had more, small scenes with this character walking from place to place, but I feel like it wouldn't have such an impact like that one moment because it really got everyone talking. Did you see the TV? Wait, yeah. Did you see the TV spot showing Kylo's eyes glowing red, possible possession by the Emperor? I saw footage of it. I don't. Is that the latest TV spot? They drop a new TV spot every day. The last one I saw was the one that I was talking about, where the Emperor is saying his purpose and that he has been every single voice Kylo has heard. And he does the Snoke voice. He does the impression of Vader. So that's the last one that I saw. I'm really, really excited. It's going to be amazing to see the Emperor again. To what capacity, I don't know. I did watch an interview that Ian McDiarmid, the guy who plays Palpatine, the Emperor, he had an interview talking about working on this movie, and he said that he only really got to work with Adam Driver and Daisy Ridley. So yeah, I don't know the extent. I don't know how much he's going to be in the movie, but I'm really excited. Yeah, I reviewed Black Christmas. That movie just bashes men for like 75% of the film, and the horror just didn't work. I disagree. I disagree with you, true horror fanatic, man. It doesn't bash it in for 75% of the film. It bashes it in for like 90, dude. It's so bad, man. No, I agree with you, dude. Oh man, it's just such a bad movie. And I'll have a review for it. Again, this is not the video that I want to talk about Black Christmas. I I don't want to get angry because we're talking about The Mandalorian. We're talking about an episode of The Mandalorian that I just really loved, that was really good, and was just such a step up from last week's episode. I don't want to just absolutely ruin my mood by talking about Black Christmas. I'm going to save that for my review. I'm going to be fired up, and I got some things to say, and it's not going to be pretty. And yeah, if you're someone who is younger, in the younger demographic, my videos are not made for kids. So see, Coppola or whatever, get off my video. It's not for kids. But if someone like 13 or 14 who can't go see R-rated horror films, which I'm not saying all PG-13 horror films are bad. No, they're not. But if you want to go see a movie in the theater, like with your friends and you're younger, do I recommend you see this movie? No, absolutely not. Go see Jumanji. Like, go see something better than this. Yeah, this movie's just absolutely terrible. And yeah, I don't see how I don't understand how this movie has like a 40% on Rotten Tomatoes. Let me look it up real quick. I can't believe we're turning our attention to Black Christmas 2019. As if that movie needed more publicity. That movie just terrible. 44% on Rotten Tomatoes. I don't understand how 44% of the critics like that movie. I don't know. Even people who even the people who stand by female empowerment, who are part of the movement, I don't see them liking this movie. It does a disservice to them. Yeah, white men, me, I'm a horrible person. I'm a rapist and all this stuff. Like, it's just ridiculous. Like, how much crap they have to throw in there. It's just so bad. I was being nice saying 75%. I know, dude. I'm just messing with you, true horror fanatic. I'm just kidding. I'm just messing around. Yeah, that's my sense of humor, man. I know you're just being nice. Honestly, I can't even say one nice thing about it. I mean, it's shot in focus. I mean, some of the shots look like Christmas. I mean, it's got Christmas trees. That's it. I hated the film. I hated it. And it's funny because there was a group of like teenagers sitting in front of me, and the one kid at the end of it, which this kid knows nothing about film, but he probably doesn't watch a lot of movies. And it's very apparent by the way he acted in the theater, because he acted like he had never been in a theater before. He was talking really loud, but he's like, "Man, that was a good movie." I'm like, "No, no, no, no." I just, I was baffled. Um, And honestly, they had like a post credit scene or something. I was trying to just rush out and like leave. I did kind of like, I looked over my shoulder, looked at what it was like, that's stupid. I don't care anymore. I'm done. I wanted to leave. I just wanted to get up and leave after like 30 minutes of the film. But I finished it. I wish I would have watched Richard Jewell instead. Oh, it was that a Richard Jewell? I should have watched Richard Jewell, man. What a freaking mistake. Now I have to wait till Tuesday to watch that. And Honey Boy also, like, I could have watched either one of those movies, or I could have watched both of those movies and skipped out on freaking. Oh gosh. Wow. LOL. It's got. Oh, critics were paid off to give them some okay reviews. Maybe it wouldn't surprise me, honestly. It's terrible. Uh, Freaking Blumhouse, what were you thinking? LOL, it's got Christmas trees. Yeah, exactly. The snow looked fake. It looked really bad. So I can't even compliment that. The Christmas lights were cool. I like lights, so I like the colors of the Christmas lights. Can you tell that I'm really reaching here, guys? Like I hated hated this movie. And again, I want you to know, again, I'm not the demographic for this movie. Clearly, I'm not the market. And I'm not a woman hater that I hate this movie. That's not it at all. And again, I don't mind that there's social commentary in films. I mean, most horror films are social commentary. That's what makes them so great. And for people to think that like, oh, we need a movie. All right, let me rant here, guys, and I'm going to be done. I want to be done talking about this. I cannot believe you guys are getting me going on freaking Black Christmas. I shouldn't have brought it up. I think I brought it up anyway. But yeah, I shouldn't have brought it up. The fact that like the writers of this movie, Sophia Takal, and I think her name's like Amy Wolf or April Wolf or something. It's April Wolf. The fact that they decided that, oh, you know what horror needs? It needs a movie about female empowerment. And the entire film is just female empowerment. It's just a social commentary. Do they not watch horror? Because most horror films is about female empowerment. That's what's hilarious about it. Like, and they do it in such a subtle way, and it shows women just kicking butt, which I love. What were you thinking? Even the first Black Christmas had social commentary in it with the abortion, and I love the first Black Christmas. It's a very to me, it's one of the creepiest slasher films I've ever watched. It really kind of freaked me out the first time I watched it. This movie just doesn't understand at all. Like it thinks it. I don't even want to talk about this anymore. I'm saving this for my review, guys. If I'm fumed now, just wait. This is nothing. Just wait. Wait for my review. It's gonna be freaking epic. LOL. Oh, people applauded in the back of my theater. What the? Oh my gosh. Again, yeah. People don't understand what good films are. That's hilarious, man. That's so funny. Oh my gosh. And I swear, if this movie, it's not gonna. You know what? This movie's not gonna make a lot of money. I don't have any faith. I have so much faith in the movie going audience and in society that people will see right through the BS of this movie. I hope. Anyway, guys, that's it. I'm done. This was my review on The Mandalorian Episode 6. I know I talked about a lot of different things. I apologize for that. I kind of get off on tangents sometimes, but I love you guys. Thank you for everyone who discussed this episode with me in detail. Thank you guys so much for your support, and it means everything to me. I'm trying to get to 150 subscribers by the end of the month or by the end of the year. Please help me with that goal. If you have not subscribed, make sure you go hit that subscribe button. I really have a fun time making videos, and I try to put up content like bi-daily, I guess. Yeah, I'm really excited for the next episode of The Mandalorian. Again, drop your thoughts down below in the comment section. What did you think of this episode of The Mandalorian? And as always, guys, may the Force be with you.